The Accidental Confession. Aria Chen slumped against her apartment door, sliding down until she sat on the hardwood floor. Her portfolio bag dropped beside her with a heavy thud that echoed through the small studio. Outside her window, the city hummed with evening traffic, but inside, silence pressed against her like a physical weight. It had been the worst day of her professional life. Lucas Bennett had been creative director at Nexus design firm for exactly 3 weeks, and in that time, he had systematically dismantled every ounce of confidence Aria had built during her 2 years there. Today, he had torn apart her concept for the Riverside Cultural Center in front of the entire design team, his critique so thorough and cutting that Aria had felt herself shrinking in her chair. Derivative, he had said, his green eyes scanning her renderings with apparent disinterest. Safe, uninspired. I expected more from someone with your portfolio. At 27, Aria had worked too hard to accept such dismissal. She had immigrated from Taiwan with her parents at 15, speaking barely any English, and had clawed her way through architecture school while working nights at her family's restaurant. She had earned her place at Nexus through talent and determination, not luck. Now, sitting on her floor at 9:30 on a Thursday night, exhaustion and frustration crashed over her in waves. She needed to talk to someone who would understand, who would let her vent without judgment. Aria grabbed her phone and scrolled to Sophie's contact. Her best friend since college would know exactly what to say. She pressed the call button without really looking at the screen, her vision blurred with angry tears. A voice answered after 2 rings. "Sophie, I cannot do this anymore," Aria burst out, her accent thickening with emotion. "This man is absolutely impossible. 3 weeks, and he has made my life a complete nightmare. Today, he humiliated me in front of everyone, said my work was derivative and uninspired, and I just sat there taking it like I have no backbone at all." Silence greeted her outburst. "Sophie, are you there? Did I lose you?" "This is not Sophie," a deep, unmistakably male voice responded slowly. Aria's heart stopped. The voice was familiar in the worst possible way. Calm and measured, with a hint of something she could not quite identify. "Who is this?" she asked weakly, though recognition was already dawning with sickening clarity. "That is an interesting question, considering you initiated this call," the voice replied. There was a pause. "Perhaps you should check your screen before launching into such passionate monologues about impossible bosses." The room tilted. Aria yanked the phone away from her ear and stared at the screen. Lucas Bennett, not Sophie Zhang. The contacts were right next to each other alphabetically, and in her exhausted, emotional state, she had pressed the wrong name. "Mr. Bennett," she whispered, feeling her face flush hot with mortification. "Miss Chen," he replied, and now she could hear definite amusement underlying his professional tone. "Please, do not let me interrupt. You were explaining how I have made your life a nightmare. I find myself quite curious about the details." Aria wanted to disappear. She wanted the floor to open up and swallow her completely. "I apologize. This was a terrible mistake. It will not happen again." "Are you certain?" His voice shifted, becoming almost thoughtful. "Because from what I heard, you have strong opinions about my leadership style. I would very much like to hear them, actually. Unfiltered honesty is remarkably rare in professional settings." "Mr. Bennett, Tell me something, Aria," he interrupted, using her first name for the first time since joining the company. When you presented your design today, did you truly believe in it, or were you simply going through the motions, giving me what you thought I wanted to see? The question caught her completely off guard. I believed in it, she said quietly. I spent weeks on that concept. Then why did you not defend it when I criticized it? His tone was challenging now, not cruel, but genuinely questioning. Why did you sit there and take it, as you said, like you have no backbone at all? Arya closed her eyes. Because you are the creative director. Because I am junior architect who is supposed to learn from your expertise. No, you are an architect with vision who should fight for her ideas when she knows they have merit. Safe and derivative, Arya. Those were my exact words. Do you know why? She shook her head before remembering he could not see her. No, because your concept was safe. It was beautiful, technically perfect, and completely lacking the fire I have seen in your previous work. I wanted to provoke you, to see if you would push back, defend your vision, show me the passion I know you possess. He paused. Instead, you shut down, until now, apparently, when you thought you were talking to your friend. Arya sat in stunned silence, processing his words. We will discuss this properly tomorrow, 8 o'clock, my office. Bring your original sketches, the ones before you started second-guessing yourself. And Arya, yes, next time you need to vent about me, make sure you actually call your friend. Or do not. I find your unfiltered opinions refreshingly honest. The line went dead.
Barcelona nights. The late afternoon sun painted Barcelona in shades of gold and amber as Arya stood on the hotel rooftop terrace overlooking Gaudi's Sagrada Familia. The cathedral's spires reached toward the sky like prayers made stone, their organic forms seeming to grow rather than being built. Breathtaking, is it not? Lucas's voice came from behind her. Arya turned to find him approaching with 2 glasses of wine. He had changed from his conference attire into dark jeans and a linen shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows. The Barcelona heat had brought color to his usually pale complexion. I have studied his work for years, Arya said, accepting the wine. But seeing it in person, understanding the scale, the ambition, it makes me feel small and inspired all at once. That is exactly how great architecture should make you feel. Lucas moved to stand beside her at the railing, their shoulders nearly touching. Your presentation today was exceptional, by the way. The panel could not stop talking about your riverside design afterward. Warmth spread through Arya's chest. Because you believed in it first, you pushed me to be brave. I simply reminded you of what you already possessed. Lucas turned to face her, his green eyes intense in the fading light. You did the hard work, Arya. You stopped hiding. They had spent 3 days together at the symposium, attending lectures, meeting renowned architects, discussing design philosophy late into the nights. With each conversation, Arya had discovered new layers to Lucas, dimensions she had never suspected existed beneath his professional exterior. Tell me something, Arya said, emboldened by wine and the magic of being far from home. Why architecture? What made you dedicate your life to this? Lucas was quiet for a moment, his gaze returning to the Sagrada Familia. My father was contractor, blue-collar, practical. He thought architecture was pretentious, impractical. When I told him I wanted to design buildings instead of just constructing them, he said I was wasting my potential. He died before seeing any of my work completed. I think part of me is still trying to prove him wrong. The vulnerability in his admission struck something deep in Arya's chest. My parents wanted me to be doctor or engineer, something with clear path to success. When I chose architecture, they worried I was making things harder for myself. Immigrant parents, They just want their children to be safe, secure. Are they proud now? Yes, but I think they still worry I work too hard, sacrifice too much. I look down at my wine. Maybe they are right. I have no life outside work, no close relationships, just endless pursuit of next project, next achievement. I understand that more than you know, Lucas said softly. He set his wine glass on the nearby table and turned to face her fully. I was engaged once, 3 years ago. She left because she said I loved architecture more than I loved her. She was probably right. Arya met his eyes, seeing pain there he usually kept carefully hidden. Do you regret it? I regret not being honest with her, with myself, about what I was capable of giving. I have spent 3 years telling myself I am better off alone, that relationships only complicate things, that I should focus entirely on work. And now, Arya whispered, her heart racing, now I am standing in Barcelona with someone who understands my obsession because she shares it, someone who challenges me, inspires me, makes me want to be brave enough to try again. His hand came up to cup her cheek, thumb brushing her skin with surprising gentleness. Someone I cannot stop thinking about, even when I know I should maintain professional distance. Arya's breath caught. Lucas! Tell me to stop, he said quietly, his face inches from hers. Tell me this is inappropriate, that we should keep things professional, and I will step back. I will never mention this again. Instead of answering with words, Arya rose on her toes and kissed him. The kiss was tentative at first, testing, questioning. Then Lucas's arms wrapped around her waist, pulling her closer, and the kiss deepened into something urgent and real. Arya's hands found their ways to his hair, fingers tangling in the soft strands as years of unacknowledged attraction poured into this single moment. When they finally broke apart, both slightly breathless, Lucas rested his forehead against hers. My room or yours? Arya managed, her voice unsteady. Yours is closer. They barely made it through his door before kissing again, more passionate this time, hands exploring with newfound permission. Lucas was achingly gentle, taking his time, making sure she felt cherished rather than rushed. He mapped her body like he approached his designs, with attention to every detail, every response. Afterward, wrapped in sheets with the Barcelona night stretching beyond the windows, Arya felt something fundamental shift inside her. Lucas's fingers traced lazy patterns on her shoulder, his breathing steady and calm. We should talk about what this means, he said quietly, when we return home. I know. Arya turned to face him, seeing openness in his expression that made her chest ache. It will be complicated. Complicated does not mean impossible. Lucas kissed her forehead. I want to do this right, Arya, whatever this becomes. Complications and clarity. The return to reality was jarring. Back in their city, in the familiar office environment, the Barcelona magic felt fragile, something that might dissolve under professional scrutiny. Lucas and Arya agreed to be discreet while they figured things out, but keeping their connection hidden proved more difficult than either anticipated. Arya caught herself smiling at him during meetings. Lucas found excuses to stop by her desk. Their colleagues noticed. So, what happened in Spain? You and Benjamin are different. Different how? Arya asked carefully, adding cream to her coffee. He actually smiles now, and you have this glow. People are talking. Arya's stomach tightened. People should focus on their work. Just be careful, James said, not unkindly. Office relationships are messy, especially with power dynamics involved. That evening, Arya worked late finishing her Riverside presentation for the city council. Most people had left for the day. She was so focused on her renderings that she did not hear Lucas enter until he spoke. You should eat something, he said, setting a takeout container on her desk. tie from that place you mentioned liking." Arya looked up, finding him watching her with concern. "You remembered." "I remember everything you tell me." Lucas pulled up a chair, sitting beside her. "How is it going?" "Good. Nervous. This presentation could make or break my reputation." "You are going to be brilliant." He reached over, squeezing her hand briefly before withdrawing. Even that small touch sent warmth through Arya. "Arya, we need to talk about this. About us." "I know. I want to be with you openly, but I also want to protect your career. If we go public, people will assume your advancement is because of our relationship, not your talent. So what do? We tell HR, we establish clear protocols, I recuse myself from decisions about your projects and promotions. We make it impossible for anyone to claim favoritism." He turned his chair to face her fully. "And then we let your work speak for itself." 2 days later, Arya's Riverside presentation to the city council was a triumph. The bold, angular design she had once been too afraid to propose received unanimous approval. The council president called it visionary, exactly the kind of innovative thinking the city needed. Lucas attended the presentation but said nothing, letting Arya's achievement stand entirely on its own merit. Afterward, in the parking lot, he finally allowed himself to smile at her. "Congratulations, Architect Chen." "Thank you, Director Bennett." The following week, they met with HR together, disclosing their relationship. The meeting was surprisingly straightforward. The HR director appreciated their transparency and immediately implemented protocols to prevent conflicts of interest. Lucas formally recused himself from decisions involving Arya's career advancement. "This actually reflects well on both of you," the HR director said, handling it with maturity and foresight. When they emerged from the meeting, Arya felt lighter than she had in weeks. They could stop hiding. They could just be together. That evening, Lucas came to Arya's apartment for the first time. She had cooked, attempting her mother's Taiwanese beef noodle soup. He brought wine and flowers, simple white orchids that made her smile. "To honesty," Lucas said, raising his glass as they sat on her couch after dinner. "To taking risks. To accidentally calling your boss and having it change everything," Arya added. Lucas laughed, the sound warm and genuine. He set down his glass and pulled her close, kissing her with the freedom of not